In our family, we were seven children. That was some times back. These days, it's a rare thing to see a family with more than two children, four children, five children. That's not something that people are used to today. Now, this is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Morore. At Now Tell Us, we have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us. And it's always a wonderful time with our guests. Today, we have a guest known as January Donovan. She's a woman. She's a mother, and not only a mother, she's a mother of eight children, and she's successful in more than just building her family. Now, you gotta stay here. You better stay here and come and meet January to come and hear how she became a successful mother of eight children. Now, there must be some secrets that we must learn today to help us move into the future with confidence to raise a big family and be successful in more than one thing. Now, let me not take one more minute because I know there is so much that we can get to hear from January. Why don't you join me? And before we go there, please remember to share this episode with all your friends. Yeah. And if you have a question, bring it on. If you have any comment to make about our podcast, really appreciate feedback. And so we thank you in advance. Subscribe to our channels and let's continue to have a great time with these conversations. So join me as we go together to meet our guest today, January Donovan. Here we go. Hello, January.
Hello, Anthony, and all your listeners. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor. I'm grateful all the way across Florida.
Wow, wow. It's wonderful. We are glad to have you here on our show today, and we are really excited to hear your story.
Mm,
I personally am excited to just hear your story.
yes,
And I believe also my listener and our viewers are also going to enjoy this episode that we have here and Now Tell Us. Let me ask you a question. Many ladies, many women are not comfortable answering, and you don't have to answer it.
sure.
What's your age?
45.
What?
Yeah, I'm 45. Yes.
No way. No way.
Yeah, I'm 45. I got married at 26. I think
Okay.
I had my first baby at 27. And then I had four children under four, took a little break, and then I had four again in 5 years. So let's think it's around the math. So yeah, I love it. I'm just so grateful.
This is just a story of the decade, the millennium, I guess. It's such a wonderful story. I love that. I love big families. I love
Mhm.
big families, and especially from. I remember the way we enjoyed the way when we were growing up, and how we used to have some great time during Christmas, especially, and all would come back, and we would be happy.
It's such a treat, and I love it. I grew up, my mom is one of eight, and my dad is one of 10.
Uh huh.
And so there was only three of us, but we always had extended family. And, our home is full of laughter, it's loud, it's dancing, it's joy. And I feel honored to be a mother. I feel honored to be able to have the privilege to raise them.
Yeah, that must be an honor. Must be a great feeling. But
Mhm.
today it's not happening, and I wonder. I mean, I don't wonder. I have my own excuses, and many people have their own
Mhm.
reasons or excuses why they don't have a
Mhm.
big family. Now, you are a special one today in this episode, and I don't want to talk much because I know you've got much to share. Our episode is titled "A Successful Mother of Eight Children." Now, tell us everything that you'd like us to hear based on this.
Well, I think we have to define what success is. I think the
Yeah.
world tells us that success is about achieving money, fame, and fortune. But what good is it to achieve the world and all these, accolades and achievements if you're not fulfilled as a woman? And
Mm-hmm.
parts of you actually don't feel fulfilled. So I think one of the challenges the reason why I wrote the book Redefine Success for Women is because I don't want mothers or teachers or people who may have less money or less achievement to feel as though they're capable of less success.
Mm-hmm.
And also this false idea that success is hoarding and just about having is not also making women happy. So what I think we need to do is we need to redefine what is success in women. And so in the book you'll see it success really is about fulfillment. It's about creating a life that makes you feel fully alive, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're a mom, a stay-home mom, a working mom. And how do we do that is that we actually have to look at every part of our life, which is what I call a whole version of you. Who you are as a woman, your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health, your friendship, your intimacy, your contribution in your home and outside your home. Your environment is so important. Your home. Your home has to be sacred. It has to be a place where it gives us rest. Your wealth, and it's not just about money or resources, it's about having the capacity for generosity, abundance of time, because what good is all the money in the world, you don't have time to spend it with your family, or not enough to give it, or and then obviously your family. So I you know I tell women success is really feeling whole.
Mm-hmm.
Question is how. And that's where I think so many women feel like they can't have children. They're not happy with their relationships, that they're not happy with who you are, because I don't believe that we are teaching women how. 100 years ago, our grandmother was next to us. They cooked with us, they taught us how to take care of ourselves, they taught us even how to have a relationship. But in a world that's going so fast, information is going, even if you're sitting right next to your grandmother, you're probably texting and looking at something else and you're not paying attention. So our world has shifted dramatically. And so what we need to do is equip women with the tools that they need in a world that's massively shifted, where it's no longer empowerment is no longer enough.
Mm-hmm.
Need to give women practical tools and so that they can learn a new kind of world, a
Mm-hmm.
world that's very different than the way our grandmothers lived, so that we can go back and say, wow, women are strong, women are resilient, women are capable of so much. We can't afford women to feel as though they're defeated because they just don't know how to live their life fully alive.
Mm. Wow, that's wonderful. And as you're talking, and maybe you're trying to define to us what success is, someone would have an idea that, oh, so I don't have to have the money, I don't have to have a successful business. Now, you, and especially now being a mother who's growing a big family,
Mhm.
many people will not expect to achieve much than just taking care of their children. Now, this is not you. Please. I discovered that you're also successful business wise.
Yeah.
How
Well,
is
I think the one word I would say is discipline. And if I had the second word, I would say intentionality. So what I mean by that is that I think part of success is not just fulfilling what the world tells you to fulfill, a lot of money, fame, fortune. I think you have to also ask yourself, what is my purpose? What am I called to? What have I been put in this earth for?
mm,
And we are put in this earth uniquely different from somebody who everyone's uniquely different and valuable. So the first thing we need to ask ourselves is that what am I here for? But then secondly, how can I then develop the skills, the training, the habit, and the discipline necessary for me to actually fulfill why I'm here on earth for? So then goes back to my question, how do you do it? Well, going back to when I was 18, I was pretty lost, didn't know who I was, didn't like who I was. A lot of, just kind of lost soul, but I was a good person. And I
mhm,
think a lot of women are good. They feel lost because nobody ever showed them. And so I met a mentor when I was about 18 years old, my freshman year in college, and she was meeting with all the women here. And she said, Janiel, what kind of woman do you want to be? And I remember I looked at her and I said, Elena, I don't have a choice. He said, yes, you do. Let's design you. And so for 3.5 years, she trained me. I met with her almost every single month. I
Mhm.
need to give her homework. I still have them, and I need to learn to build a routine. I need to learn to manage my mind. I need to learn to take care of my body, my thoughts. I need to learn how to be a friend. I need to learn to get rid of comparison, competition. So she gave me the training that I never received and I suffered for. And
Mm.
so that really began my journey of discipline and training and intentionality. And I think that became the foundation of my own motherhood. She taught me how to manage my mind, but she also taught me to cook fast. And she also taught me that cleaning the kitchen should not take an hour, but 10 minutes, that you have to be able to make do with what you have. So there were so many skills, Anthony, that I feel that, had she not trained me, and then I don't know if motherhood would be as joyful or that I
Mm.
could have more children, but it's not just about having children, it's having life in spite of, having children. Because when we don't have the skills, which is the reason why we have the school, women would have children and they're robbed of life, even though they're giving life because they don't have life from within. And I think that's why the training and the discipline is necessary for us in a world that has dramatically shifted to be able to do so much more than we think we're capable of.
Mm.
And I think that's probably, what my mentor gave me and the training that she had given me. I was so grateful for because then it's not just even about motherhood, it's about me taking care of my children, but also taking care of myself, but
Mm.
also taking care of my husband, but
Mhm.
also taking care of my home, my friendship. That requires a lot of discipline. And that's the part that, it's hard to sell women on. I said, do you want a beautiful marriage? Do the interior work. Do you want a great man? Do the interior work as a woman. Learn how to hold a man accountable, hold yourself accountable, be a woman of your word, know how to pivot, know how to draw firm boundaries, but be tender, know how to learn how to manage your tonality, learn how you show up, learn how to manage your time. I mean, there's so many things that we really don't have access to that I think is convincing women that they're not good enough, when in reality, they just haven't been prepared enough.
Wow. So women have not been prepared well enough. And it's good that you mentioned about mentorship. In anything that you want to accomplish in life, it's good that you have someone who's been there, done that, experienced it, and can always show you the way to reach to where it is that you want to be.
Yeah,
And and
yeah.
and,
And
and
our grandmothers used to be our mentors, our aunt and our uncle. I grew up in the Philippines my first 11 years, and everyone was family. So you always had somebody looking out for you. But a lot of our world internet has changed the way we even look at families or
mm,
communities. And so most people, we actually now have an international epidemic of loneliness.
mhm,
Imagine that in a world where we can get on the phone, get on Zoom, see each other online. How is it that so many people today are suffering loneliness? I mean, we have to ask ourselves, is
mm,
we have the infrastructure, maybe because we don't know how to communicate with meaning and depth.
mm,
Maybe we don't know how to have conversation because we're so used to texting and short messages and brief comments. Maybe we don't know how to nourish the depths of our soul
mm.
because it's a skill set that I think we need to teach.
Yeah, yeah, it's important. So you're Filipino?
Yes, I'm Filipino.
Oh, and also,
Pardon me?
also, how about your husband?
My husband is Irish American, so
Okay.
I'm Filipino American, but I love I'm so grateful to have, I think, experienced different culture, and not just to be raised here in America. Because my first awareness, Anthony, I tell this story. I live in America where there's so much, just if you haven't traveled around the world, you'll quickly see. If you've traveled around the world, you quickly see how abundant Americans really live.
Yeah.
Not there's poor parts, but I I grew up in my earlier years in the slums of the Philippines. I knew what it was like to have no bathrooms, no toilets to flush, and trash everywhere, and people not having enough clothes. I never thought any different. I thought it was rich of laughter. I
Mm,
thought we had adventure. It was wholesome. So I came into America. And so my parents sort of, they were immigrants, so they worked really hard to try to improve their life, like a lot of immigrants all over the world. And so we kind of, went to a better school and then went to a better community. But I always saw my parents' hard work, but I also saw their life of generosity.
mm,
Because I think when you are in a place that, and it culturally, it's poor, it's amazing sometimes that you give the little that you have as just a way of life, because
mm,
you know what it's like, to not have. And then when I came to the United States, I was 11 and my parents were nannies, so they worked for somebody that was really wealthy. She was extremely generous and she lavished us with so many things. And it was interesting for me to kind of have all these material things, but I felt empty. I felt like, I just felt like it didn't fill my soul. And I remember thinking to my friends, I want to have rich, meaningful conversation because I had that as a
mm,
first grader, as a second grader, as a third grader, even though we did not have much. And so I was wrestling, with this idea that, wait, we have all these things, but I feel like empty. And
mm,
on the outside, it looks picturesque. You live in America, everything is at your fingertips. And I can't that's really why I felt sort of this compounding loneliness that made me kind of question, who am I? What do I why am I not fulfilled with my life? And I think that began my journey of asking and seeking and honestly led me to a place where I really had to give up on my friends and to sort of let go of this American sort of dream to say, there's more. I
mm.
want.
Wow. So I identify with you having come from a place where we could, and I talk about that in my book. uh, we came from a place where we lacked resources, but then we had an abundance of many other important things.
Mm,
The virtue of goodness, being kind, being people who appreciate each and every single
mhm,
day. So I think the lack of resources the modern person has taught us a lot of things that are useful for us
mhm.
to live a fulfilling life today.
I do, and I think there's sort of a war that, um, you can't have both. If you have money, then you can't be happy, or if you're poor, you can have it, then that's how you're happy. It's sort of kind of this economy. And I guess I'm coming to this realization that it's not about what you have, it's about appreciating what you have or
Mm,
what you don't have. I think that if I live in America, I have to appreciate the fact that I live in this great country and there's all these resources, and I have to find the fulfillment in context of where I am, you
mhm,
know? So I think it could be both and that's why I go back to training is because we need to learn, when you have or you don't have, how do you find gratitude? How do
mhm,
you live a life of generosity? How do you make sure that you are a woman that is capable actually of living outside of herself?
mhm,
Because selfishness, I think what makes America sometimes unhappy is that we become selfish because we have so much.
mhm,
And selfishness really leads to a lot of stress, in my opinion, and it leaves a lonely life. And so when you live in a culture where you have a lot, you have to really have the skill to make sure you're not indulging in your own selfishness and you understand the importance of living a life of generosity and contribution as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner, whatever that is. So that it's not just what you do, it's who you are that actually influences and inspires everyone around you.
and I agree with you. There's nothing as fulfilling as generosity,
Yeah.
knowing that you've made an impact on someone's life that could have been otherwise. Now, thank you for telling us, appreciating where you are. You were there where you were in poverty, living in the slums, and you appreciate that point, and then now you're here, appreciate
Mhm.
this moment, and with a successful business. Can you please tell us about your business? What is your
Yeah,
business?
so because of my mentor Elena, I was always passionate in teaching women the
Mm,
skills that I received, and I started to study women. I started practical skill training, whether it's managing your mind, managing your home routines, and so I just trained women for free for 15 years. I didn't charge a dime. I believed in it so much, Anthony. I believed in it because I suffered because I didn't have it, and so. I would offer training and practical life training. When I say practical life, mind management skills and emotional training. And then one day my husband said, "Do you want to reach thousands or millions?" And I said, "Well, obviously, I see women that are suffering. I want to reach the ends of the earth. I want to show women that there's so much more to life, that they don't have to give up the only life that they have, living a life of quiet desperation." And so she said, "Well, you need to start a business." I'm like, start a business. I'm a mom of four at that point, or five. I can't remember at that point. And so, you know what? My I when I was 21, I dreamt of a school for women. I drew it out. I said there needs to be a school. It was a physical school because at that time we didn't even think of online schools. And so my friend, I was just with her 2 weeks ago in a speaking engagement. She's like, Jen, you talked about that school. I dreamt about it. It was just a dream. And I think by the grace of God, just sort of took that one step of the dream and just kept that dream close in my heart. But I always sort of learned how to learn new skill set. It was just one of those things that I think I was trained to do. And I don't think it's anything great. I just learned how to do it because somebody showed me how. It goes back to mentorship. And so as I learned new skill set, I realized, well, I must learn how to business skills. And I'll tell you, you know, it the dream fueled the discipline because to me I had to get up at 4 in the morning to make sure I studied about business. There was no rewards. I studied business for 5 years. I couldn't sell a thing. And I did it because I was passionate about it. I was pregnant and I would still get up in the morning. I would still make sure that my home life was joyful, that my food was taken care of, but whenever I can, I would study. So I didn't go out much. I focused on the mission. I focused on the call. And so there was a lot of discipline and continue
Mm-hmm.
um, to, I think, led me to a point. And so anyways, 5 years ago, my husband said, January, I'll help you. And I was like, okay, and so he helped me sort of build an online school for women and it took off successfully because I think women were hungry for depth and meaning and training. That's where I realized. And so in just less than in a year and a half, we went from zero, I didn't make a dime, to a multi-million, and went to 40 countries in just 3 years. And honestly, I sometimes look back and I said, like, I I think I wanted to reach the ends of the earth because I was passionate about it. I wanted to build a business, but I think it happened simply because day in, day out, discipline and just never giving up.
Yeah,
Never
I
giving up.
just wonder. I just wonder, and the listener is maybe wondering to himself or herself how you did manage to do that, hopping onto all those countries, and you're having such a huge family. But maybe you're talking about discipline or something. It's on
Yeah,
a higher level. It's on a higher level.
COVID happened, and so everybody went online. I
Yeah.
think that really became sort of like the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a year after we had started the business. So I think maybe Providence really just had it, because then all of a sudden everything went online. And so all the teaching is online. I will say to you though that, my mother, I don't think would have the same opportunity that I have now because I can build a business and everything can be online. I don't have to be away. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the things. The other thing is that my husband and I were very intentional. We moved to Florida in this one town so that I could also raise my family, not be away from it because everything is within 5 minutes away. Their school is 2 minutes away. Everything is a minute away. And so we actually designed it so intentionally so that I can work while my kids are in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can, maybe I'm gone for like an hour or two, but then I'm come back and, everyone's home. Not just my kids, but 30 of their friends almost every night. We're always feeding 5 extra kids and I love it, and I want people here to say that with a whole lot of discipline and a lot of intentionality, mentorship, training, you can do it. You can not just build a business while have a family, but do it in a way that gives you joy and peace. This idea that you have to be this hot mess mama, that it's a mess. Of course, that's the case when you don't have training.
Yeah.
And you can have a beautiful marriage. I've been married for almost 18 years, and our marriage gets inspiring every single day. But I think what is often lost is that we also study daily. I study myself daily, my husband studies daily. The discipline that comes with a beautiful life is necessary. When I say beautiful life, rich with love and joy and peace, it's not just things, you know. And I think all women and both men want that.
Wow. Hey, let me talk to the women who are listening to this.
Mhm.
Woman, you need to follow this woman.
Mhm.
You need to follow this woman. Hey, go follow January. But you're gonna share us how they are able to connect with you. But before we go to that, you talked about writing, and there's a book there that you've mentioned, which is Redefine Success for Women, which I encourage each and every woman to go and get it. Now, tell us more about your writing. Was this your first book? Have you written other?
Well, the first book I wrote was sort of a children's mindset book. So it was very short. It was a bestseller. We were very grateful to be able to do that, but it was kind of a, more for children. This book, so this is the reality. So I've had this book in my heart. I was passionate about it, but I have had a roadblock in thinking, when would I do it? Because I have all these children, and am I even capable of writing a book? Even though I felt like I had this message. And so what fueled me, Anthony, was that I can't die with a message in my heart. I would be culpable before God. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So you know what I did? I went to this training. I went to this training to help me write a book. It was like a weekend, you just kind of write and journal. And I went in there, and then I invested in a coach. Like, I just did it. It was like, I was like, I need to write this book. And if I'm not going to invest in here in a coach, I'm not going to do it. And that's what happened. I went there in June. I was like, I'm going to invest in a coach to help me write this book. And I never did anything because it was summer. And when in summer, I'm a lot of times with my children. So I met with my coach in August, and he's like, when do you want this book done? I had a speaking engagement with John Maxwell and Ed Mylett, which was a great honor. I was like, I need to get the book done then. I was like, how am I going to write this book? And there's all these things going on. And so I made a decision, and I said, I need to finish this book. And so I worked with my coach, and he said, I met with her like every other week. And he said, then you need to give me the outline in a month. I was like, in a month? Really? A whole book? I'm like, how's that possible? He's like, well, if you made a decision. So I made a decision. And so what I did was that I said to my kids, I'm like, this is what it's like to discipline and train yourself. And I think I wrote the outline. I said, listen, hold the fort down for a day or two. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. And whatever comes out of it, and so I just was so determined. Anyway, and then he said, January, that was September. And he said, January, you need to finish writing the book by October. I was like, you mean like the whole book? Is like, yeah, because we need to get it published by December. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? And so it's making that decision and saying, okay, Ryan, hold the fort down. I'm going to make sure I get up. And I remember I did this. I wrote the book, I get up 4 a.m, and then my kids get up. I would, take care of them, do the work, because there were other work. It wasn't just writing the book. I had other things. And then then at night, I would go to, like, after they put the kids to bed, I would work for another 5, 6 hours. My husband's sleeping in the couch. I'm like, I don't want to be alone. Can you just be there? And then I finished it in a month, Anthony. Got it edited. It was so bad. It was so bad. I was like, did I write this? Like, it was like, and then I even, audio voice it. I was like, I threw the whole manuscript away. This was October. I was like, I can't, I'm like, this is an injustice to the women I'm serving. So anyways, all of November, I just buckled down and I literally just did it. Like, I'm like, okay, children, I need you to make sure you have dinner ready. I need you to make sure you're cooking, you're cleaning, and I have help at home as well. But I need you to hold the fort down. Mom has to fulfill this, and I'm really present with my children. But they knew, I said, this is what it means to fight for your dream. I need 3 weeks, and I need you to hold the fort down. You're very capable. The one thing I do is also train my kids. I teach them how to, layers of discipline. I teach them what things that I'm learning and unlearning. And so they know, I'm like, we've got the menu. We'll take care of it. We've got them. We'll put the babies down, because I had like a 3-year-old at that point. So anyways, 3 weeks, I just did it. And it was just, 9 to 5, just wrote it. So I look back on it, and I'm very grateful that it happened. And I think it took me years to come to that decision. I just made a decision and just went for it.
Wow. The only book you've written, or you've written others?
It was a children's book, the first one, so it was very small. It was a mindset. This is the only book that's like start to finish, and really the book is about how to design every part of your life. It's very practical. It's about designing a whole version of the woman that feels fully alive. It's very practical. It talks about your worth, your value, and it talks about how to honor yourself, how to honor your man, how to honor your family, but also chase your dreams. So I give them very practical training, and actually you can even have worksheets in the book.
Wow. I just wish we had more time. There's so much, so much, so much that you
You
can
can,
tell us.
yeah, we can. You have more questions if you want to, and
Yeah.
I get excited about this, Anthony, because I want women. I don't want a woman to look at me and say she can do it. I can't. I want you to look at me and say I can do it because she can do it. I want to know that, and I'll give you evidence of how you can do it. If you're willing to learn the skill set and the mindset necessary, you can achieve the impossible. Because I'll tell you, I never thought I could. I mean, what's a mom of 8 doing? And I'll tell women out here, we need mothers to be changing the world. in their own homes, but also outside their homes without compromising their values, their dignity, their joy, their laughter. But the only way we achieve that is if we have to train. It's like you don't go to war without boot camp. You don't become an Olympian gymnast without training with a coach daily, sacrifice, discipline. And I tell you, if you're willing to lay down your life in layers and layers of discipline in the quiet to fulfill who you were created to be, you will have more than you ever imagined.
She said it. She said it all.
Mhm.
I don't have to repeat that. I don't have to ask. Yeah, just thank you very much, January. Thank you
I'm
for
so
everything you
grateful.
shared. And as I was saying, we have so much to answer. We have one of our viewers who's watching. Uh,
Mhm.
Sum this in one sentence because we are out of time.
Sure.
The question that he has, John A. Brink asks, what kind of advice would you give for first time authors facing writer's block?
I would research what it is that you're want to write about. Study it. So let's just say you want to write about women, and I'm like, oh, and then just go read about women or whatever it is you're writing. Second thing, don't give yourself permission to say writer's block. This I teach this. If you want a if you want a beautiful life, whatever you want to achieve, you want to make sure you have the right language for it, right? If I want to if I want to have a happy, beautiful, fulfilling life, and I my words are negative, I'm not going to achieve it because your words shape your thinking. Your thinking shape the quality of your day. So the first thing you need to do is to really need to fix our mindset, how we think about. And so whatever you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're also right. It's a Henry Ford talks about. So the first thing you're going to do is replace your thinking. I have a writer's block. No, maybe you're just tired. Tomorrow I'm going to begin again. Get some rest and then do some research. You don't want to write in a place of stress. You want to be able to write and say, I love this work. I get to write. I get to write this. Speak your heart and fail. Like I throw my whole manuscript, fail. And that's we feel like we have to write the perfect manuscript the first time. And that's why we don't do it.
Mm, that's why we don't do it because we are looking for perfection before we get started.
Progress over perfection. It's literally, so my husband always tells me, it's like, my only secret is that I take action and I fail a lot. And then you achieve a lot more, and that's what
Yeah,
I really do.
when it's all in the numbers. Now, hey, our time is up. Please give us a way. Tell us how we can follow up with you,
Yeah.
any woman or any other person that is. I mean, you've got so much to say that is helpful to every person, not just the woman.
Oh,
But
well. Well,
yeah,
thank
tell
you,
us how to find
Anthony.
you.
Well, thank you for honoring me as a woman. I really think that the world is ready for a vision of both men and women working together. It
Mm-hmm.
is time. I think we're hungry for it. I think we're ready for it. I think this war between men and women, and I can do this and you can, we need each other. We've always needed each other. And it's time we know how to honor each other. So I want to honor you for recognizing me as a mother. When the world tells you motherhood is a second class citizen, we need men that's going to celebrate what it means to be a woman and vice versa. Teach women. I said, honor the men around you in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. And they will pave the world for you.
Mm.
They will pave the world for you. So, anyways, I wanted to thank you. You can follow me on Instagram, January Donovan Women's School. And also, you can go to uh, the New Woman Masterclass. That is the masterclass that I teach women how to be a woman. It's the foundational course that got us into 40 plus countries in 3 years. It's deep interior work, but it's the foundation work that I don't believe is in our school system, not even in our homes, in our community. So I take all these big concepts and give it to you in bite-sized pieces so that you can live it out practically. And that's what I love to do.
Wow. So everybody who's listening, hop on to www.newwomanmasterclass.com and go and connect with January. Yeah.
Yes. And we also have a man school. So if any man's here waiting, or if you feel passionate about serving men or women and you want to know how to build a business around it, that's what I teach women because I want I feel as though we need to raise an army of men and women that are going to fight the battle outside to
Hmm.
defend who we are as both men and women. And so, what we did was that we built a coaching model that fuels men and women's passion to serve in a way that simplifies it. So, if you're interested, you can go to the wholeness coaching school .com, and that's where we teach you the whole version of both man and woman, which excites
Okay.
me.
You had that, and it's very easy to follow.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so go right there, connect with January, and yeah, become a person of value. And
Mhm.
yeah, our time was up a long time ago, and we need to go. We need to go. But we really, really thank you, January, for being here with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I'm so grateful.
Yes, and thank you to all our viewers, our listeners, and even if you get to listen to this or watch it after we're through, we thank you, and go become the best version of yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's about it for today. This has been Now Tell Us. I have been your host, Anthony Morore, and together with a wonderful, wonderful guest today, January Donovan, we are saying until next time, bye for now. Bye.
Oh, bye.